Failure hurts. Let's be honest about that. It doesn't just hurt your plans. It hurts your confidence. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder, maybe I'm not good enough. And the worst part? Nobody teaches us how to deal with failure properly. At school, if you fail a test, you feel stupid. At work, if you mess up, you feel useless. In life, if something doesn't work out, you feel like you're falling behind everyone else. So today, I want to talk to you like a friend, not like a motivational speaker, not like someone who figured life out, just someone who failed many times and learned how to fail without losing confidence. Because here's the truth most people don't tell you. Failure doesn't destroy confidence. The meaning you give to failure does. Think about it. Two people failed the same exam. One thinks, I'm bad at this, I'm not smart. The other thinks, okay, this didn't work, I need a different approach. Same failure, completely different future. Most people lose confidence because they connect failure to their identity. They don't say, I failed, they say, I am a failure. That one sentence quietly ruins everything. So the first thing we need to change is this. Failure is an event, not a label. You are not your last mistake. You are not your worst decision. You are not that one bad moment. Confidence isn't about never failing. Confidence is knowing that even if you fail, you're still okay. And that mindset alone changes how you move through life. Now let me tell you something important. Most confident people you admire, they failed more than you think. They just didn't let failure become a full story about who they are. They treated it like feedback. Not feedback like you're bad, but feedback like this didn't work. Adjust. When a game character loses a life, the player doesn't quit the game and say, I'm a terrible human being. They restart. They learn the pattern. They try again. But somehow, when we fail, we turn it into a personal attack. That's why the second thing you need to understand is this. Failure feels personal, but it isn't. Life is not judging you. The universe is not laughing at you. People are not thinking about your failure as much as you think they are. Most people are too busy worrying about their own problems. So stop making failure mean more than it actually does. A failed interview doesn't mean you're incompetent. A failed relationship doesn't mean you're unlovable. A failed project doesn't mean you're incapable. It just means this attempt didn't work. That's it. Now here's something practical you can start doing immediately. After every failure, ask yourself this one question. What did this teach me that success couldn't? Because success is comfortable. Failure is informative. Failure shows you where you lack skills, where you lack preparation, where you rushed, where you trusted the wrong thing, where you need to grow. And growth is where real confidence comes from, not fake confidence, not motivational quotes, real, quiet confidence. The kind that says, I've been here before, I survived, I'll be fine. Another mistake people make is trying to stay confident by pretending failure doesn't hurt. That doesn't work. Confidence is not emotional numbness. You're allowed to feel disappointed. You're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to feel sad. The problem is not feeling bad. The problem is staying there too long. Think of emotions like weather. Rain is fine. Living in a flood is not. So give yourself a short window to feel it. A day, maybe two. Then you move. You reflect, you adjust, you continue. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that failure doesn't stop you. And here's something very important, especially if you're young. Your confidence should come from effort, not outcomes. Outcomes are unstable. You can do everything right and still lose. But effort is always under your control. When your confidence is based on effort, you start thinking like this. I showed up. I tried. I learned something. I improved even a little. And that kind of confidence survives failure. Because even if the result is bad, you know you didn't quit on yourself. Now let's talk about comparison, because comparison makes failure 10 times worse. You fail, then you look around and think, everyone else is winning. Everyone else is ahead. Why am I so behind? But you're comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their failures. You don't see their doubts. You don't see their bad days. You only see the moment where things worked. Confidence dies when you measure your life using someone else's timeline. So stop asking, why am I not there yet? Start asking, am I better than I was last month? That's the only comparison that matters. Another powerful shift is this. Stop asking for motivation. Start building trust with yourself. Confidence is self-trust. It's knowing, I'll do what I said I would do. I won't disappear when things get hard. I'll show up again. Every time you keep a promise to yourself after failing, confidence grows. Even small promises, like studying again after failing a test, applying again after rejection, starting again after quitting. Those moments matter more than big wins. And here's the last idea I want to leave you with in this part. Failure doesn't mean stop. Failure means slow down and adjust direction. If you keep walking and hit a wall, you don't sit down and cry forever. You look left. You look right. You find another path. Same destination, different route. You don't lose confidence because the road changed. You lose confidence when you believe the road ending means you end. And that's never true. At some point, though, failure stops being small. It's not just a bad grade, not just a missed opportunity. It's something big. A dream that collapses. A job you really wanted but didn't get. A business that didn't work. A relationship you thought would last. This is where confidence gets tested the hardest, because now the voice in your head gets louder. It says, what if I fail again? What if this is just who I am? What if I never recover from this? And here's what you need to understand. Fear of failure comes from unprocessed failure. When you don't face what happened, your mind keeps replaying it, not to hurt you, but to protect you. Your brain is saying, hey, last time we got hurt here, be careful. So instead of fighting that fear, listen to it. Ask yourself, what exactly went wrong? What part was in my control? What part wasn't? This is how you turn fear into clarity. Confidence doesn't come from forgetting failure. It comes from understanding it. Another mistake people make after a big failure is trying to restart as a new person. They say, from now on, I'll be confident. I'll never fail again. That's pressure you don't need. You don't need a new personality. You need a new strategy. Same you, smarter moves. Confidence isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming experienced. Think about someone who lifts weights. The first time they try a heavy weight, they're nervous. Not because they're weak, but because it's unfamiliar. After failing a few times, they learn their limits. They learn technique. They learn patience. Now the same weight doesn't scare them anymore. Not because it got lighter, but because they got better. That's how failure works in life. Every failure adds experience points, but only if you don't run away from it. Now let's talk about one dangerous trap, self-punishment. Some people think being hard on themselves will make them stronger. They say things like, I deserve to feel bad. If I'm tough on myself, I won't fail again. But self-punishment doesn't build confidence. It builds fear. Fear makes you hesitate. Fear makes you overthink. Fear makes you play safe. And playing safe slowly kills confidence. Real confidence comes from self-respect. It sounds like this. I messed up, but I'm still worthy of trying again. Be honest with yourself, but don't be cruel. You wouldn't talk to a close friend the way you talk to yourself after failure. So why do it to yourself? Another thing that helps massively is changing how you define winning. Most people define winning as success, approval, recognition. That's unstable. A stronger definition of winning is this: winning is progress under pressure. If you showed up while scared, that's a win. If you tried again after failing, that's a win. If you didn't quit even when confidence was low, that's a win. When you collect these wins, confidence slowly rebuilds. Quietly. Naturally. Now let's talk about confidence before trying again. This is where many people get stuck. They say, "I'll try again when I feel confident." But confidence doesn't come first. Action does. You act despite low confidence. Confidence is the result, not the requirement. Think about the first time you did anything important. Your first presentation, your first interview, your first date. You weren't confident. You did it anyway. And after doing it a few times, confidence appeared. So stop waiting for confidence like it's permission. Move first. Confidence follows. Here's a simple rule that helps a lot. Lower the size of the next step. After failure, don't aim for a big comeback. Aim for momentum. Instead of, "I need to succeed this time," think, "I just need to start again." Small step, low pressure, consistent action. That's how confidence comes back without forcing it. And something very important for long-term confidence: detach your worth from productivity. You are not valuable only when you succeed. You are not valuable only when you achieve. Your worth doesn't disappear when you fail. When you believe this deeply, failure loses its power over you. You still care, you still try, but you don't collapse when things don't work. That's real confidence. Now, let me say this clearly. You will fail again. Not because you're bad, but because you're trying. Avoiding failure doesn't protect confidence. Avoiding growth does the opposite. Every confident person you admire has a long list of failures behind them. They just didn't let those failures decide the ending. So, if you're in a moment right now where you feel stuck, disappointed, or unsure of yourself, remember this: you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not done. You are learning how to stand back up without losing yourself. And that skill will matter more than any success you haven't had yet. Confidence isn't loud. It's calm. It's the quiet belief that says, "Whatever happens, I'll handle it." And once you have that, failure doesn't scare you anymore. It just teaches you.